Alright, hello everybody. This is Kay from F5 Networks, and today, again, I have my best friend, Alan Murphy here from NGINX, part of F5 Networks. So Alan, thanks for coming by today.
Thanks, Kay. Good to be back.
Yes. And now we are recording this in a different country, in a different office, but again, we want to have new, fresh information from the major events that we just recently had in Seattle. The NGINX Conf, NGINX Conference 2019, right? And you were there, right?
I was able to attend.
Yeah, and I think according to the demography that I have heard so far, there are not so many attendants from the rest of the world except North America. It's more like a North American event. But if I remember correctly, it's still the global events, right?
It is a global event. We were very fortunate to have some customers from different parts of the region. We had customers from EMEA. We had one or two people that were able to come over for APAC. It's a long trip, as we know, from APAC.
Yes.
But we also had some partners that joined us from APAC as well, including from Japan. So very, very excited to have them and have that opportunity to talk with them.
Yep. So that is exactly the point, ladies and gentlemen, that in this session, I won't have some of the discussion point with Alan Murphy to understand what has been discussed in the conference and also what were the good takeaway that we can learn from the event for Asia Pacific NGINX users. But I think we are almost close to summarize with the three key takeaways.
Yes.
Number one, obviously, the overall excitement that we want to learn from your experience, especially for Asia Pacific. And then second one is going to be like microservices and API, which is one of the hottest topic in the industry, in many of the industry, I would say. And last but not least, is going to be some of the introducing some of the interesting guest speakers, the external speakers that joined the NGINX Conf as part of the show, right? Okay. So can we start from the first one?
Absolutely, sure.
Overall excitement. So Alan, tell me about what the excitement you see there.
Yeah. So first of all, I love NGINX Conference. We just call it NGINX Conf. Because it is truly a user conference. So the people who attend are people who have used NGINX, are using it today in production in the field, and have come up with really unique use cases and solutions for using NGINX. So it's a very open conference. It helps drive innovation for the people who attend. So I love to go and kind of see what people are doing. The excitement this year was all around microservices and API, as you mentioned. And it's very interesting to compare what we see in North America, as you mentioned, most of the attendees were North American, with what we're seeing with adoption of microservices and APIs in APAC. So for me, I came back into the region with a bit of clarity of where customers are actually using these outside of APAC, using tools like microservices and API. But then also I can think about some of our customers in this region and some of our partners who are more advanced in that space and really see alignment between driving innovation in APAC with what we're seeing globally through NGINX Conf. So really just such a great 2 days to just talk technical stuff and see what people are doing.
All right, thanks for that. And for Asia Pacific people, if you wanted to summarize some of the most in general topic before we get into the API story, I mean,
sure. Yeah.
What will be your specific thing for Asian users?
Well, we broke down NGINX Conf into 3 tracks. One was API, one was microservices infrastructure, and then one was application deployment or kind of the app stack side. Okay. And if we were to look at where APAC fits in those 3, so for example, someone who was not able to attend Conf, if they were to watch the videos on YouTube, I would say what most aligns with this region is starting with the application side. So the application side is going to be more of how do I migrate applications to cloud-based environments. I'm just starting to build microservice infrastructure for my applications. What do I need to think about? So I think that's really the best place to start for most people in Asia. I think, as we discussed in our last video, there are certain countries and regions that are a little more advanced with microservice and API adoption, such as ANZ is a great one. Singapore is not far behind. I think those countries could really benefit for jumping right into the microservice and API tracks.
Right.
So again, I was really excited with Conf because we covered that broad, more traditional app delivery all the way through bleeding edge, microservices, service mesh, you name it. And where an APAC region falls in that spectrum, they have a tool or something they can use to learn from.
Perfect. Thanks for the great suggestions. Let's move on to the second topic, which is microservices and API gateway stuff and API management, maybe I should say, right? So I actually noticed that in the YouTube NGINX official channel, they have close to 50 videos of all the sessions from this NGINX Conf 2019 talking about every sessions. Each of them are around like at least 20 to 30 minutes long. And I noticed there's eight API sessions there.
Yeah.
So I'm really just curious, how come the 8 different sessions can provide such a different story that all attract lots of NGINX users here?
That's a great point. There's a lot of API content and a lot of different sessions. If we first kind of break API up into 2 different categories, API gateway and API management, we start to see that APIs are driving everything today. So much of the traffic that we see as NGINX that we work with customers is API-driven traffic. So I think just the orchestration, the architecture necessitates that everybody talk about it today. So I think that's number one. And number 2, if we stick to those 2 categories, we can really dig into what it means to manage APIs, to create APIs, to publish APIs, but then also how to handle API traffic on the wire, whether it's, again, kind of a traditional architecture versus a microservice east-west, north-south architecture. There are just so many different ways that you can kind of dig into that technology. So it just made sense that we had customers who wanted to talk about their experience with API management. We had new product announcements around API management and gateway this year. So it was just the hot topic. Everybody's doing it.
Right. And what will be your message for Asia Pacific users when it comes to this API management related topic from NGINX Conf? What will be your one single message?
Oh, that's tough. What I always like to tell people is when you start to look at new application services that require APIs, think about traffic management first, right? Because APIs are still application traffic on the wire. But what we've seen is that when you start looking at distributed APIs, you start to look at distributed and huge scale of application traffic. So being able to manage all of that traffic, add security, know where your endpoints are, know who's accessing it, know where your endpoints are, know who's accessing each one of those endpoints and who's allowed to and who shouldn't. All of that factors into this huge sprawl of API traffic. So my number one takeaway when thinking about API traffic at all, whether it's management, gateway, anything, is to think about application traffic management, traditional tools that let you add security, that let you add monitoring, visibility. All that becomes so much more critical with exponential API traffic.
Right. Great. Thanks for that one. And I think the last topic that we want to highlight here as a key takeaway is going to be the guest speakers. I guess there were several of the guest speakers. Those were getting up on the stage, sharing their stories, experiences maybe. And we definitely have several topics that we might want to talk, but before getting to one of the specific things we have been chosen, can I just ask you, what was the overall take from the customers' experiences there?
Yeah, it was great to see real world examples of how customers are using NGINX.
Yes.
Yep. So we had a couple of really good keynotes. One was about the Kenya Ministry of Health and how they're using NGINX to help add visibility and governance over things like vaccination and medication. So really great to see kind of a real world applied. So often we talk about the technology and the nerdy stuff, and it was great to see a real world use case like that. Then we also had some really good presentations from a credit card company that's using us to build a full CI/CD pipeline for API management. So really great to see the toolkit that they've come up with and deployed. We also had some great partner presentations as well, not just customers. One in particular was Gremlin. Gremlin presented twice, once on a panel and then once a standalone session, both about chaos engineering. And to me, chaos engineering is fascinating because it's all about planning and testing for the unexpected. And it's become such an important topic in DevOps in the Agile world. Gremlin did a great job kind of showing where NGINX fits in that, how we work with them as a partner. But more importantly, I think to emphasize the idea that you need to think about the whole picture when you're moving to microservices or more of a DevOps world. So yeah, it's always a great conference to see the external kind of feedback of how people are using NGINX.
Right. Yeah. Perfect summary. Thank you so much, Alan, for sharing your thoughts. And I guess we have lots of specific session recordings here in the YouTube channel.
Yes.
So I think people will now get the really good grasp of what will be the key topic they want to explore and which session they should start if they wanted to go into details, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Some great content. And as you mentioned, all the sessions are about 20 to 30 minutes long.
Yes.
So really, really worth taking a look at all those great sessions.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you.